Peace, family. This video right here is about language and the barrier that the English language creates, as well as the original language, as well as how language creates reality, how you speak things into existence. Now, starting with the original language, we understand that these bodies that we are in now, inhabiting as souls, were not always in the form that they were in. Our original states of existence is light. We are ethereal beings, we are light beings inhabiting these bodies in order to experience the physical realm. The original language is telepathy and color. Originally, we speak through the mind, through electromagnetic frequencies or light intervals, and we emit colors in order to exchange the emotional vibration that we are trying to emit to the next entity. But you can see that the Caucasian understands this. He does this today, where hospitals are certain colors to give off a certain emotion. The workplace is a certain color to give off certain emotions. Sports games and sports teams wear certain colors to give off certain emotions. You can look this up. The power of colors. You can look into this. Colors evoke certain emotions without me going into a whole nother subject or swaying off the subject of this video. But colors emit certain emotions, and through telepathy and colors, we in our most powerful state communicate. That is the original language. As we took on these bodies and lost some of these capabilities due to our location within the galaxy, via zodiac sign prominences or frequencies, which may or may not affect us, determine the strength and capacity we get to use this ability. So now, this is the cause of why the voice, why you are able to speak through a physical voice now instead of a mental frequency, or the need for a physical language now. Now, physical languages, without honing in on every last one, all the thousands and thousands which have been created throughout all of the years, we will just deal with the format. The closer and closer, or the farther and farther, I should say, you go back into the past dealing with the African language, you will notice that there are no vowels, and that the tonsils are being evoked or used due to the certain tones and certain sounds that are being emitted from the vocal cords of that particular language. The more and more European influence or European the language you get, you will notice that they place vowels in the language, and that you do not evoke your tonsils or the roof of your mouth when you speak. Everybody has these ridges at the top of their mouth. If you take your tongue right now, like I just did, and you run it across the roof of your mouth, you'll feel those ridges. It's like they feel like little patterns at the top of your mouth. Those, along with your vocal cords, help you to stimulate the pineal gland and literally speak into the universe. Now, why is this important? Because the English language, which is created by a Caucasian, was created purposely to enslave melanated beings. Why? Because through the use of our tonsils and the roof of our mouth, in the languages that we originally spoke, we were able to actually speak in such a frequency that will pierce this reality and go directly to the ethereal plane. We were able to talk directly to the ancestors or communicate with entities. So why is this important that they created the English language? Because by placing these vowels and creating such a strict language, which we all know that through research, English is probably, I want to say, if not the number one in the top 3 most difficult languages to learn. Why? Because it is the most complicated to pronounce, and everything they try to say is proper pronunciation, when really it is just a slave. It is just enslaving you verbally from connecting with the ancestors. That's why the words are so hard and proper and crazy long, and they have all these vowels in there, because when you speak them, they have no ethereal or spiritual power with them. They have no light power with them. They are meant to keep you from invoking certain capacity, physical capacity, such as the tonsils or the roof of your mouth or other energy signatures, in order to speak directly with the ancestors. So the Caucasian does not also understand and enslave us on a physical or a mental, but even on a verbal. The English language is meant to stop you from communicating directly with the ancestors of the universe. That is what the vowels are for. The vowels are to stop you from invoking or speaking in certain patterns. That is why, naturally, as a melanated being, we create slang or we pronunciate the words differently, because subconsciously we are trying to rebel from the captive from the verbal captivity that is being placed upon us through these languages. That is why we pronunciate these words the worst, and that is why we have the most difficult time with this language, because it is not for us. It is meant to enslave us and stop us from communicating directly with the ancestors. Now, with that being said, now we want to go into energy signatures. Labels are just energy signatures. What is an energy signature? We know that energy, we know that we all stem from the same source. So an energy signature would be what you conceptualize or label upon an extension of yourself in order to help you understand it in its individual capacity to the whole. For example, we understand that a finger is a part of the hand, but a finger in its individual capacity is not the hand. So the energy signature to describe this part of myself from this part of myself would be, we're going to call this part of myself a finger, and we're going to call this part of myself a hand. It's called an energy signature. You just signaturize a piece of energy, aka an extension of yourself, in order to help you identify with it in its individual capacity from its whole capacity. So when we say water, we understand that water is just an extension of ourselves, but it moves in a different capacity physically. So how do we distinguish that part of ourselves from this part of ourselves? We're going to call ourselves, like me, I would call myself a black man or a melanated being, man, and that would be water. Same energy, same energy composition, just different physical actions. So I distinguish that from myself through different energy signatures. So now, why is energy signatures important? Because they help you to project your thoughts and perceive phenomena on this physical realm without getting caught up. For example, a word is just like a map that tells your thoughts where to go. So when you say, for example, I'm holding a camera. When I say camera, I know that I'm just telling my brain to focus on this object, this electronic device in my hand. But to differentiate this or specify what it is I'm talking about from any other electronic device that's on a planet that is not a camera, we just label this one camera. So words are nothing more than like help or navigation for the mind. That's it. Because once you take away words, we understand that actually nothing means nothing. Nothing on a planet actually has any meaning until we give it meaning. It literally, nothing means nothing. So when you tell yourself mentally that this is what something means, or if you don't create the word, like for example, we don't create the English language, so all the definitions of the English language were given to us by the Caucasian, then we understand that we are literally on the mental construct of somebody else's creation. So we actually see life every day through the mind of a Caucasian because we have accepted his language. This is why in slavery they went so hard to take our language from us and push their language on us, because we are still enslaved by them mentally, because we still speak them into existence verbally. So now, getting back into depth on this language, this goes even deeper, because now the reality that we create for ourselves will always be self-destructive as so long that we speak the English language. Why? Because the English language has the most violent and negative words within it. For example, we know that in ancient languages, for example, there was no such word as, let's just say, gay. There was no such word to even describe the word gay. Now, why is this important? Because since you couldn't speak it, you couldn't mentally fathom it. It literally didn't exist. It was one point in time where you could wake up and you couldn't even fathom the thought of being gay. There was no way to even speak it into existence. Now, when you deal with the English language, we have so many negative words that we can learn. And by us ingesting this vocabulary or these energy signatures, we now are able to mentally fathom and create that energy. So if I had a language that had no curse words in it, let's just say we create a language tomorrow and it doesn't have the word bitch. It will be impossible for you to call your woman a bitch because that word doesn't exist. You can't mentally even create a physical reality according to that energy signature, because there is no energy signaturized to create that negative abrasion. So when you're dealing with the English language, excuse my language, because y'all know I curse sometimes. You got words like fuck, bitch, dick, hoe, faggot, all these different words that you can just project upon something. For example, if, let's say this camera again. If I speak a language that doesn't have the word bitch in it, I can never say, camera, you're a bitch. it doesn't exist in that language. But in the English language, I can say, Cameron, shut the fuck up, you's a bitch. Because this language provides nothing but negative energy for me to spew. So why is this important? When you also dealing with the English language, when you go in the dictionary, black means dirty. Black means all these negative things. Evil, darkness. These are, in the dictionary, it literally says black means evil and dark. In the dictionary, it says white means holy, pure. Why is this important? Because you have installed this language in your mind as a black person, and then now by being in the English language, it is impossible for you not to promote white supremacy, because according to the definitions that they have said these energy signatures mean, every day that you even speak verbally and create reality, you create it not in your favor. Just for you to say I'm black in the English language, they have perverted to where it means you saying I'm evil and I'm dirty. For you to say I'm white, you saying I'm holy and I'm pure. So this language not only enslaves us and not allows us to speak to the ancestors, but it allows for white people to create a white supremacist false holy paradigm of existence, and for black people to constantly create our self-destruction and address each other as negative words. There are so many negative words and meanings in the English language, and we as black people, in digesting them, as a consequence, we speak to each other negatively. I can never say, I'm going to stay on the word I've been using. I can never call my black woman a bitch if that word didn't exist. Who created that word? The English language, which allows me its free use. You can even curse on TV now, and the radio now. So African languages not only evoke the use of the tonsils, which Caucasians take and tell you, oh, you just don't need those. Yes, the fuck you do need those. But outside of that, they evoke the use of the tonsils in the roof of your mouth in order for you to speak into the universe directly. And when your tonsils and the roof of your mouth are vibrating, it activates the pineal gland. Like when you meditate, if you make a gurgle sound like this one, like if you were to make that sound like you were gargling, the vibrations are traveling across the roof of your mouth up into your temple and hitting the pineal gland and stimulating the pineal gland and activating it. It's just like when you get knocked out. When somebody clips your chin, your jaw unhooks for a split second, and this sends an electrical current up to the temple, into the brain, and shocks you and knocks you out. So just like to show you how electrical frequencies travel through the mouth to the brain to knock you out, and you knock somebody out from 2.5 pounds of pressure to the chin, shows you how when you stimulate the mouth, once again, the gurgle sound, you're stimulating the mind and the pineal gland. So they take the language, which puts vowels on it, that doesn't allow us to speak in these stimulating tones, which cause us to not stimulate the pineal gland and not speak directly to the creator, which we are an extension of. So now, the language of English is negative. All its definitions of black people are negative, and it causes us to speak and create a negative paradigm every day, because even the words, since they're negative, generate negative energy. But if there was no negative words, it would be impossible for you to generate that energy, because you wouldn't even be able to fathom what it is. If there was a language that never said hate, you would not be able to speak that into existence. If you predicate a language upon positive, and every word in there is positive, then you would only be able to create a positive reality. So this is the point of language and energy signatures. Languages, literally, when they say you speak things into existence, you are literally speaking things into existence. What you say creates your reality every second of your life. Every second. This is why Buddhist monks take a vow of silence. They understand this science. They going straight back to the mind to communicate and control their thoughts. So now what does this say about black people? For one, we need to, I don't care if we create our own language, never before. It's us. We give the meanings to the words. We need to create a language which enforces tones and frequencies of nothing but positivity. And we need to escape the English language. Again, period. It was forced on us. We need to force it out of us. Point blank period. Whether we have to learn an ancient African language or whether we got to create a new one tomorrow. Either way it go, this language is enslaving us, and we must do what we have to do to escape it. So, language manifests your reality. Energy signatures help you to project your thought on physical objects in order to determine what they do individually in regards to the whole that they're connected to, which is you and the creator. And for three, you only can fathom mentally what you can create. I mean, you only can create verbally what you can fathom mentally. So if you don't ingest negativity such as language, certain negative words and languages, then mentally you won't never be able to fathom that. So let us understand that the English language is a booby trap for black people, and we speak to each other negatively through it because it allows us to do so. And With that being said, we have to step over the mines. Like I'll always say, I just showed y'all. This is a landmine. Now walk around it, don't walk through it. And with that being said, family, peace.